Yes, evening, people. We are back on the channel, back with a show to talk about today's football and a couple of things that I think are topical and need discussing. I watched the Manchester Derby today. I did not see the Burnley Bournemouth game. I was at the Emirates today off the back of a 1-0 victory for the women in the North London Derby. So big up to Alessia Russo, who scored the winning goal for Arsenal, 1 Spurs nil at the Emirates. I was with Lee Judges where we were doing a little bit of filming. And if you have not seen it yet, make sure you go over to Lee Judges TV and watch that promo. Watch that show that's literally come out about an hour ago. So make sure you watch myself and Judges over at Lee Judges TV after this one. Make sure you also do me a favor, please, people, and smash the like button and the subscribe button and the join button if you do want to be a member. And of course, if you would like one of these canvases behind me with a cannon on it, they can be in red and white or in blue and yellow. Make sure you head into the description over at Russell Hogg Photography on Instagram. Tell him you're a gooner. Tell him Dan Potts sent you, and he'll sort you one out. Make sure you go over to Bread and Honey Bets in the Patreon as well. Link in the description. Sort out all of your betting tips that you need if you like a bet at the weekend. And of course, before we go into any of the topical football, we need to look at our sponsors. So make sure that you get over to Football Prizes because trust me, guys, there are some unbelievable prizes to be put on show here. If you are a gooner like myself, then you should be making sure that you're going in for the Bukayo Saka prize. Now, there is Jesus, Ben White, and Zinchenko shirts that are signed to be won as well, and the ticket is only $3.95. So make sure that you do that because it is going to be ending on the 11th of March, which is next Monday. So make sure that you do not miss this chance. Make sure you go and put your money in. £3.95 for the ticket. They are incredible prizes, particularly the Bukayo Saka one, which has actually got the frame, and it's also got the reel of some of his absolute highlights. So make sure that you put your bid in for that one. If you're a West Ham fan, Mark Noble signed boot and frame. A legend, to be fair, of the club. A lot of West Ham fans absolutely love Mark Noble. If you are a Manchester United fan, for $3.95, you can win a Michael Carrick or Kobe Minu signed shirt and frame shirt. So make sure you get in for that one. My favourite, the one that I've gone in for, is the Legends Prize, which is Ronaldinho signed shirt at PSG, which, to be fair, is probably one of the best players ever, in my opinion. For only $2.95, you have to put yourself in with a chance for this one because not only is there the chance of winning Ronaldinho shirt, there is an instant prize for Roberto Carlos and Kaka signed shirts as well. If you're a Newcastle fan, then you can go in for the signed Newcastle United squad of this season shirt, which is framed. And if you're a Chelsea fan, it's John Terry. So make sure that you do go in for that if you're a Chelsea fan as well. It's not just football. There's obviously darts prizes as well. There's an Erling Haaland one if you're a City fan. And there has been some unbelievable opportunities to win some tickets to the Monaco Grand Prix, to Cheltenham. And as you can see here, there's a trip for two for Dublin. So please make sure that you go and get involved in that, people. Football prizes, link in the description. And you can go and put your get your tickets for whatever prize that you want. So please make sure that you do that. Okay, let's talk football, shall we? Big up to everybody in the chat that's here nice and early. Big up to Aaron. Big up to Patrick. Big up to King Mo. Big up to Kareem. Big up to MC. Big up to Jake. Big up to Joanne. Who else is here nice and early? Big up to Josh. Big up to Awais. Big up to Rykav. Big up to David. And you know what? I'm going to put this comment up because it was first of the night. Last night, King Mo, yes, I was frustrated with Liverpool. I actually shouldn't have done that show. And I'll tell you why I shouldn't have done that show last night. Was because I hadn't seen it. I should have waited before I watched Match of the Day and then gone and done a show about it. But I didn't have time. I wanted to get on and give my raw emotion. Maybe I was a bit salty, a bit harsh about Liverpool, but actually watching it again, I could have then made a more better of a, not a prediction, a more of a analysis on it. I think Paul Tierney was poor, but like Gary Neville said in his podcast, obviously it was a long time before they went and scored the goal. But having said that, it was the wrong decision. So that's where we're at. The title of this is "I'm Sick of This Player" weekly. We're going to come back to that because that's the negative part of the show. The positive part of the show, if you are a Manchester City fan, is that you have an incredible talent that is named Phil Foden. I watched the Manchester Derby today and he is incredible. People want to try and compare, Let's talk at who was I going to say? The Saka, of course. The Saka and Foden debate. Who's world class? Who's it? Do you know what? Let's just forget that. Yeah, let's just forget that because, as far as I'm concerned, they are both absolute quality players, quality talents, deserve their flowers, deserve a mention. This season, last couple of seasons, they've been phenomenal, right? For me, Phil Foden is just ridiculous. And the reason Phil Foden is ridiculous is because in games like today, he takes them by the scruff of the neck. When Haaland's on the pitch, when Bernardo's on the pitch, when Kevin De Bruyne is on the pitch, when all that talent, Rodri, etc., you can go through the whole of their team is on the pitch, he turns up, man. I looked at that player and I just think, you are crazy. And do you know what? It makes me hate Gareth Southgate even more. To not even consider putting this guy in yet in the England side is just an absolute joke for me. When I look at some of the players that have got games ahead of him, like Mason Mount and Calvin Phillips and Conor Gallagher, come on, man. Like, this is actually quite embarrassing. Like, Sterling and Rashford have got more game time than Foden in the England setup. It can't happen this Euros. I tell you, the players that are flying right now, Harry Kane is smashing it in Bundesliga. Bukayo Saka and Foden are killing it in the Premier League. Obviously, James Maddison as well, Jack Grealish. You can talk about Rashford, Sterling, other players that get mentioned on the bench. But the ones that are killing it right now, and then Jude Bellingham over in La Liga, Declan Rice holding midfield. Look at that team. That sixth going forward for Gareth Southgate, Declan Rice holding, and then Maddison and Bellingham ahead of him, and then Saka, Foden, and Kane. Yeah, man. I'm taking that all day long, man. We've got some unbelievable ballers in this England side right now. And if Gareth Southgate can't win it with England this time, then yeah, Lord help him. That's what I will be saying. Big up to everyone that's here nice and early. Make sure you hit a like and a subscribe already, please, people. We're almost at 100 people nice and early, which is great. We're only at 44 likes, so please make sure that you do like this video as you join. That'd be amazing. That's a scary lineup, says Patrick. Yeah, it is. Let's make sure we go and win this Euros then, because there's only France that I'm looking at and scratching my head as to who's better. I think England have got the best side. I have to say it. That means England should go and win the competition. So make sure you go do it, Gareth. Anyway, back to Premier League football. Today, Manchester Derby. Phil Foden, incredible. Deserves his flowers. He, I thought, was head and shoulders above everybody. Man of the match. Scored both the goals. An absolute rocket, by the way. I don't know what Lindelof's doing. He's just showing him on the side that he does not want to be showing him on. And fair play. Absolutely smashed it. Into the top corner. And I thought dictated the play going forward for Manchester City. I think they deserve to win. The second half, they dominated. They destroyed Manchester United. The first half, they had all of the ball, but didn't really do too much other than the absolute sitter that Haaland missed, by the way. And I was going to mention him, but actually, this is what Haaland does sometimes. He doesn't have the best of games. What does he do? He scores. He misses a sitter, he still scores. And that's what the great players do. And he is a great player. You know, this player's what, 22, 23? He's absolutely incredible. He really is. And I wanted to mention him. I wanted to mention Kevin De Bruyne. I wanted to mention Bernardo, Foden. Manchester City are an elite team, man. They're absolutely elite team. Rodri, outstanding. Some of the players not up to their best today. Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne. You don't look at their in performances and go, "Oh wow, like that's the best I've seen them play." But they're still playing well. And Foden today, just ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculously good. He really is. Let me talk about this player very quickly because I have mentioned him, Jeremy Doku. Without me looking to confirm this, so you might be able to put me in the mud. Somebody tell me in the chat when his last Premier League goal was, because I think it's November. That means this guy is still playing in the Manchester City first team in March and he hasn't scored since November. And he does cause havoc and he does create chaos. But is he a bit of a Dama Traore or Alan Saint-Maximin? Question mark. That's the way I see it. I don't think that's harsh. And people need that in the side. Some people like it. Man City fans like him. I'll be playing Grealish over Doku any day of the week, man. I don't look at him and think, my God, like this guy's going to take City to the next level. But maybe it's just me. Let me know in the chat. Apparently his last league goal, I was told, was in November and he hasn't scored since. I was told that a couple of weeks ago. Was it last week? So yeah, Jeremy Doku, man. Jack Grealish deserves to be playing over him, in my opinion. So let's see what happens there. As for Manchester United, this is where I get to the stage of this title. I am sick and tired of this player Bear with me because you might get surprised by the player I'm going to mention. I'm going to mention the player who scored an absolute worldie today for Manchester United. Yes, you've guessed it. I'm going to call him out again. Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has literally epitomised him as a player today in his performances. He scores an absolute rocket of a goal, which was a punt from Onana, great control from Bruno Fernandes, a brilliant layoff, a fantastic first strike, and it flies into the top of the goal, off the crossbar and under and in. Then what does he do, people? He goes through one on one. All he's got to do is head the ball and use his pace. And he actually manages to miscontrol it, and the ball ends up behind him. And Kyle Walker's like, I mean, look, I've got pace, but you've not even you've not even made me need to run. I'll just win the ball back. Terrible. Then what happens? The ball comes across. He's just got to get something on it, and he hits it on goal. Misses the ball completely. It could be 3-0. And I'm not even joking when I say that, by the way. Yeah. Because anything in football could be or can't be, right? But there's 3 opportunities there, one of which he scores, and the other 2, which actually, let's be real, probably harder than the one that he did put in. And he's fluffed them. Totally fluffed his lines. Poor. Then what does he do? He goes down, soft as shit, off of Kyle Walker. Oh, it's a foul, it's a foul, it's a foul, ref. No, it wasn't. Get up. You're through on goal, man. You're through on goal. Go for the goal. Don't fall over. So that's in the second half. And then what happens from there? They score from it. Phil Foden isn't on the floor rolling round. Phil Foden's sticking it in top bins, mate. He sees Lindelof. He thinks, yeah, that's Linda soft. Boom. Bang. Top corner. Mate, he's unbelievable, Phil Foden. And that, for me, right there, turned the game. I knew they were going to win it. I actually put money on 3-1 City, and I thought I was going to lose my money because it was 2-1. And then Amrabat, who we'll come on to in a minute, by the way, gives it to Haaland, and Haaland puts it in, and it's 3-1. And I won my money. I had Man City to win. I had Man City to win 3-1, and I had Haaland to score any time. It's just, honestly, man, like crazy. So I'm going to come to some Man United comments in a minute in the chat because I see Z, who, big up to Z, by the way, always watching and listening, big United fan. Gonna star some of these comments. Get your questions in, by the way, people. More than happy to take some questions today. Put a Q like AFC always has done, so I know that it is a question, and we can discuss some of the weekend's football for sure. So whack a couple of questions in. If you want to put a super chat in, you can do it. Goes to the front of the queue, and we read it out on screen. So that's how this channel works. Honestly, people, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. That game in the second half from Man United was poor. Amrabat. What is he? Can someone explain that to me? What is this guy? I was told he absolutely lit the World Cup up with Morocco. I watched him and thought, oh, he looks all right, doesn't he? He was good in the final of the Europa League. Not Europa League. I don't want to call it the Europa League. Conference League. That West Ham have spoken so much about. And he did well for Fiorentina. He did well for Morocco. Since he's come to Manchester United, he's been terrible. And he was terrible today. Left back, was he playing pretty much? Awful. Absolutely horrendously bad, in my opinion. Not good enough. Been a flop. And hasn't been spoken about much. So I don't think he is going to be a good player for Manchester United, but he's got some time. Listen to me, mum. Subscribe if you haven't already, please, folks. Make sure you smash a like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What we on likes-wise? Let's make sure we're on decent likes. We're only on 66, man. Come on, let's get to 100. All you got to do is click a like button. Doesn't cost you anything. I'm not asking you for money. Like, subscribe. It's free. That would be amazing. So let's take some of the questions in relation to Manchester United, shall we? Z Gold, big up, my bro. You know I love people who come on this channel that don't support Arsenal, and I really respect the fact that you're here to listen to me on my football opinion, not just on my Arsenal opinion. So big up to you, my bro. Says, damn, what different could we have done with the team that we have? Tell me. Nothing, mate. Do you know what? This is a great thing. You have pointed out what my title says. Manchester United are unrecognisable from old. They are not the Man United from Fergie. They're not even the Man United that David Moyes inherited. They're worse than that. And that was poor, by the way. This is a shocking team. And I sat there with Sam today, big up Sam, and I said to him, Man United players, how many are you taking? Now, if I would have asked that question not that many years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, you would have said 4, 5. Now, how many? How many are you taking? Let me ask the Gooners in the chat. Give me a number. Just put a number in the chat. How many of these Man United players are you taking in Arsenal's team? I wouldn't say you might get a couple in the squad, maybe. How many in the first team? How many are Man United players walk into this Arsenal first team? Please tell me. I'd love to know. I'd love to know. Because in the squad, I quite like Dallo as a fullback. I think Kobe Minu is going to be a top talent. Then I'm struggling. I wouldn't take Bruno or Rashford with a barge pole. No good. Not for me. Mentally, just awful. So who are we taking? Hoyland? I'd go with Hoyland actually as a squad player for sure. But then I'm struggling, man, because Varane and Casemiro, they don't look like the Varane at Real Madrid, and Casemiro don't look like the Casemiro at Real Madrid. Struggling, man, struggling. Few people saying 1, some saying 0, some saying 2, some saying Martinez and Hoyland, Varane, Dallo and Mainu. Yeah, see, they're the same names, and none of them are getting into the first team. Is my point. None of them Man United squad make Arsenal better in the first 11. That is unheard of, people. Now, I was spoiled growing up with Arsenal, but also Manchester United. I'm used to seeing Keane and Scholes. I'm used to seeing Giggs and Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, Cantona, Rooney, Ruud van Nistelrooy, even players coming off the bench like Teddy Sheringham, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, even players like Chicharito, Danny Welbeck. People laughed at Danny Welbeck when we signed him. He would get into the Man United side now. This is unbelievable how bad it is. We've got Johnny Evans lining up at the back, Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Lindelof. I'm sorry, man. It's just poor. It really is. So Z, I know you don't like to hear it, my bro, but your side's poor. So what difference could you have done? Nothing, because your team's rubbish, mate. That's what I'm saying. AFC always big up yourself, bro. Says Dan, people are talking about how many goals Arsenal will score tomorrow night. For me, it's all about the 3 points. Absolutely. We're going to come on to that as well. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you go and check out Lee Judge's TV, because myself and Lee were on there today talking about all things Arsenal for tomorrow night. But I take 1-0, I take 2-1, I take 3-2. I really don't care as long as I get 3 points. But it would be nice to continue this amazing run of form. It would be nice for us to actually look at the potential goal difference and say, do you know what? Let's go get 4 or 5 goals. Arsenal got potential to go and do it. How we're going to do that, how we're going to set up could be different, because there's a couple of options or opportunities that we've got now to rotate a little bit or to change up with the side a little bit. But we'll come on to that. So throw some questions towards me and we can then talk about tomorrow night as well. This next one comes in from Aaron. His form isn't even patchy, Rashford. It's bloody seasonal. I've never known a player that can be rotten for a year, a star for a year, and then rotten so persistently. Marcus Rashford last year put me in the mud. 15 goals, one of the better players in the league. And I thought to myself, yeah, do you know what? He's the reason Man United have had any glimpse of Champions League football this coming season that we've just seen. And then he goes and does what he does all the time, disappears. He did this season before last. If you look at it, he's had, I think, 3 seasons where you look at him and think, yeah, he's hit double figures and done quite well. The other seasons, it's like 4 goals or 7 goals, or it's just not good enough, man. And I look at Marcus Rashford, I don't look at him and think, wow, that is a player that could be a Dwight York or Andy Cole of Man United. He's certainly not a Thierry Henry level. He's not even, for me, a Robbie Fowler or a Ruud van Nistelrooy level. So when people started to compare him to those players and say that he's going to be our Man United equivalents of XYZ, I was going, well, I understand people overhype players, but let's just calm it down. Like real. Like honestly, it's poor. It's poor. Rashford, Theo Walcott, Gabby Agbon-Lahore, Darren Bent type player for me. Real talk. I'm sorry, he is. I don't think he's anything better than that. But maybe it's me being harsh. Let's go to this next one. 170 Gunner. Are you Arteta out? No, I'm not Arteta out. I don't really do this Arteta in, Arteta out. I think there's different points of the season that you can ask that question. I think when you look at what Mikel Arteta has done, it's been a very good job to get Arsenal challenging. What it hasn't been is to get Arsenal winning yet. And we need to make sure that he's able to do that. So end of the season, if he does that, I don't think anyone can be Arteta out. That's the way I see it, bro. Yusuf, big up yourself, man. Bloody Liverpool. No, I'm joking, mate. Can you envisage a Chris Wilder masterclass tomorrow? I think that's what you want, Yusuf. Never say never in football, my friend. You never know what's going to happen. And the reason I say that is not because I am worried about Sheffield United or I'm trying to put a big doubter on it or anything like that. But let's just say within 3 minutes, Gabriel goes in really hard and gets sent off. Completely different game. So anything can happen in football. Of course, I'm going to stick by my boys and be confident enough to say that we're going to win 3-0. But anything can happen in football, mate. Dan Amrabat sounds like an Audi 50 pence toilet cleaning product. Do you know what? Yes, it does. And he played like toilet cleaning product today, mate. He was absolutely shambolic. So Z is stating that they had no Hoyland, no Martinez, no Maguire, no Shaw, no Mount, no Malacia. You've got severe problems at the moment. Got real big injury problems, but a lot of other teams have. And I don't look at that Man United squad and think it's anywhere near good enough for Champions League football. So if you were to get it, you've done a very good job. And Ten Hag actually maybe should be kept because that side is absolute gash in my opinion. Max says, do you really think Arsenal have a chance of winning the league? To win leagues, you need teams to do you favours. Unfortunately, Arsenal aren't getting teams to do them favours against Liverpool and City. I actually disagree with that. I think it's all on you. I don't think we should be looking out for teams to do us favours. I don't think we should be, I hope Man City drop points there, or I hope someone comes in and takes points off Liverpool. Win your games. It's all to do with you. It's in our hands. We go and beat Manchester City and Liverpool draw at Anfield with Man City. Arsenal win the league if they win the rest of their games. That's the way it is. It's just the way it is. Because we will have Man City, so we will beat them and we will win all our games and win the league. So it is in our hands. It isn't about, who's going to be able to do us a favour, who's going to be able to drop points on us, who's going to be able to make sure that we're not the ones that are took. Listen, let's just go and do the business, man. Let's go and do it. So big up to Mac. This one comes in from Rory. Says, hard to predict, but if no injuries from now to that Man City game, what would your starting 11 be? Okay, let me tell you what my starting 11 would be if everyone's fit. And let me tell you what our starting 11 would probably be with players coming back for Man City. If everyone's fit and they've all been playing for the next 5 games and they've got all fully fit, there's no problem. No one needs game time. Everyone's raring to go. David Raya obviously plays in goal. Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber at left back. Thomas Partey in the 6. Declan Rice and Erdegaard. And then for me, it would be Saka, Trossard in the 9 and Martinelli. And then I would be bringing on Jesus. I'd be bringing on Havertz for a different dimension type forward. I'd be bringing on, potentially, Smith Rowe because I think he's looked sharp when he has come on in the last few. And if we wanted to change anything in midfield or in defence, then we have got Tomiyasu, we have got Zinchenko, we have got Jorginho. As for what I think the team will probably be going into the Man City game, I actually think we might see, if they all stay fit and if we start to get game time, I think Partey and Jesus might start. The only thing I will say is Kai Havertz in the 9 has worked, and Jorginho was bloody good against Man City at the Emirates. But I think Thomas Partey might come in and do some serious work for Arsenal if he stays fit. So I hope that's answered that question, bro. I'm missing some of your questions, so I will star them or try to at least, but make sure that you do me a favor and put a Q next to him like Aaron has done here. You think the rescheduled Chelsea game might work in our favor in the sense that while it might keep us third for a while, it also keeps some pressure off. This decision about us being a shark this year instead of Man City having a shark behind us, I don't know how it's going to work out, but it certainly didn't work out well when Arsenal were top because it crumbled and we bottled it. If we're not in a position to bottle it this season, then it could work in our favour. That's what I'll say, Aaron. The Chelsea game being rescheduled is actually going to be a few days before the Tottenham game, from what I hear. I'm not so sure that's good. I don't know if it's good or bad. Personally, I'm not sure if it's good or bad. I'd rather have just played it and got on with it, if I'm honest. But it doesn't look like that's going to be happening now. That's just the way that it is. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up and and star some of your Q questions. Who have I missed? Have I missed? No one else. Good stuff. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going. Mr. Waffle, who would you get in the City team? Who would you get in the City team? Do you mean who would I buy for Arsenal in the City team, or do you mean who from Arsenal would get in the City team? If you're asking a combined 11 between Arsenal and City, I think it's ridiculously close. Edison would be the goalkeeper. Um, I'm going to go Ben White at right back ahead of Walker because I feel like Walker this season hasn't been the same. And Ben White is better defensively. Walker's got the pace, but Ben White is better defensively. And I think he's been superb in the last part of the season so far, Ben White. Left back, I'm going to go Nathan Aki because we haven't really had a fit left back this season. But I'm going with our centre half partnership. I'm sorry. I think Gabriel and Saliba this season have been phenomenal. So I'm going for them. And then in midfield, Rodri and Rice. And then I'm going to go with Phil Foden ahead of them. And then front three, I'm going to go with Saka. I'm going to go with Bernardo Silva because he's been better than Martinelli this season. And up front, Haaland. That's probably what I'd do, to be honest. KDB and Ødegaard this season. I mean, Ødegaard's been amazing, to be fair. So maybe you should get in. Maybe I'll put Ødegaard in the middle and then Foden left and then up top Haaland. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So there we go, man. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Hopefully that's answered it, Mr. Waffle. I hope that's what you meant, bro. This one comes in from 170 Gunner. Says, do you think we'll see a Rice Party midfield tomorrow? No, I don't think so. I think Party will be on the bench tomorrow. From what we hear, but I don't think he's going to start him. And I honestly don't think we'll play him unless there's an absolute need to and something's gone drastically wrong. I think we're just going to keep him very, very consistently within the squad and not really have to bring him on unless absolutely we need to. And I think that from the press conference Mikel Arteta had, he did say that he was going to try and be careful with some of these players. And he was definitely one of the players that was mentioned. Party, obviously Timber, Tomiyasu and Zinchenko when they come back, and Gabriel Jesus, now he's back, will be definitely looked at. Let's talk about from Saka's older brother. Let's talk big up, bro. I love that name as well. Saka's older brother. Gyökeres looks like the real deal on YouTube highlights. Now, this is always very dangerous because when you look on YouTube highlights, everybody looks fantastic. Mustafi looked like Cannavaro or Sergio Ramos. Yeah. Granit Xhaka looked like Patrick Vieira. Unfortunately, when Arsenal sign players, we get very excited. I remember looking at Marquinhos and thinking, whoa, yeah, Neymar. A lot of people do that, don't they? And get very carried away. That last one was a joke, by the way. I did not think Marquinhos was going to be like Neymar. But you get my point. However, I saw Gyökeres, which is his name, not Guy Corres, which I was calling him, Gyökeres, Swedish centre-half, playing for Coventry, doing very well in last year's championship, put Coventry into the playoff final, scored a lot of goals, and this season for Sporting Lisbon has 30 goals. Now, I think he has everything that's needed in terms of an all-round number 9. I think he's tall. He's definitely good in the air. He's got good technique. He's got a very good left foot, and he's got a good right foot from what I can see. He can link up play. He's definitely got the ability to be an all-round centre-forward. Is he the sort of player that Arsenal want? Yeah, I believe he probably is, because if we were looking at Vlahovic, I think he's quite similar in terms of his attributes from what I can see. And if that was a genuine, serious scouting bit of business that we wanted Vlahovic, then Gyökeres could be somebody that we look at. If it's not going to be Tony or Osimhen, if it's not going to be an Evan Ferguson punt, or it's not going to be a player of that ilk, then yeah, I think, to be fair, that's the one that we should be looking at next is Gyökeres. So let's see if we can do something there. Excuse me. I'd love to think that we can do something. So let's make sure that we're all over it. Apparently there's release clauses. I was speaking today to a friend, and apparently there's release clauses in players that we are after. Edu likes a release clause. Zubimendi has a release clause of 50 million. Nico Williams has a release clause of 40-something million. And Gyökeres also has a release clause, but I think it's around 80 million, something like that. But we could afford all three if we wanted to release their clauses. And I think all three would come to Arsenal. So that's how I would answer that one. Let's take a look at this one from South London's finest. B says, "Hey Dan, how do you rate Watkins? Is he good enough to push Arsenal to that next level?" I spoke about this last night, bruv. Spoke about Ollie Watkins, and I just don't know why, but I've never looked at him and thought, do you know what? That's the one at Arsenal. I love everything about him. He's a massive gooner. I love the fact that he's electric and he's got pace and power and knows where the goal is. Then I looked at his stats. I don't know if you watched me last night talking about it. This guy's scoring ridiculous amount of goals. At least 14 goals in the last 4 or 5 years consistently he's got. Between 14 and 20 goals. That is ridiculous consistency for a guy who's now 28 years old and he's literally at the top of his game. Do we want Ollie Watkins ahead of Ivan Toney? I think Ivan Toney brings more as an all-round centre forward. I would love them both, I've got to say. I think both together as well, they'd be incredible. Both Brentford players as well. When you look at what Ollie Watkins did at Brentford, if they would have kept him and Toney together, wow, they would have been lethal. He's very good, but would he feel the pressure at Arsenal? At Villa and Brentford, it's very different, as we've seen in the past. Can they take it to the next level? I'm going to say I think he probably can. But I don't know that it's going to be that amazing step that's like this world-class player in Ollie Watkins has now come to Arsenal. I think a Victor Osimhen would be more like the one that we're looking to go for. Although I think he missed a penalty tonight. That doesn't mean he's a bad player, by the way. But I heard that he missed a penalty tonight. Sammy, would you take a chance on Gyökeres, Dan? Crazy good season this year. Yeah, as I mentioned, they're the two questions that he sent in. I think I probably would because I'm all about players on form, bro. And I think this player is properly on form, like really on form. So yeah, I have to say that I believe it would be a good punt to go on him to go on for someone like him. Apparently, his release clause is 87 million. Excuse me, which is a crazy amount of money. But when you look at what it can get you, if that's going to get you 30 goals, you take it, right? You take it. Because let's be real, that is the one position in the first starting 11 that you look at and think that can be upgraded. I think when you look at the elite level, Arsenal aren't really there in any positions, right? Because they're all young, all of our players. But with potentially elite, we've got quite a few. Gabriel and Saliba, for example, potentially elite. Saka, Rice, Odegaard, Martinelli. But in the other positions, like the goalkeeper, the fullbacks, the centre forward, the other central midfielder, there's definitely a question mark there. And so can we upgrade? So would De Jong walk into the first team at Arsenal? Yes, is the answer. Would Michael Mannion get ahead of Raya? Yes, is the answer. Would Gyökeres get ahead of Jay or Osimhen get ahead? Yes, he would. That's the question you've got. Now, all of the other question marks are question marks, serious question marks. If we was to go and get a world-class winger, would they get ahead of Marley and Saka? I think they probably got a chance of fighting with them, but they're not guaranteed it. And I think the other positions would be. So that's where I'm at, man. Other couple of comments here. Ghost says, Dan, how highly do you rate Udogi, Romero, Van der Ven, and Porro as a back four? I'm a Spurs fan. Big up, man. I appreciate you watching as well, mate, 'cause I know it's never easy watching Arsenal content. So fair play to you, my bro. Thanks very much for that. Listen, out of those back four, I think Porro has been phenomenal for Tottenham so far this season, although I do question him defensively. Going forward, very good. Very impressive. I think he's a good footballer, Porro. Left back, Udogi, raw. I can't lie, raw, but what a talent. He looks really good, mate. Like special, I think, Udogi. Little bit rash, but he's gonna be at this age. But if you can calm that down, I think you've got a baller there, bro. And I must say, I think Van der Ven has been one of the signings of the season, and I think he's complemented Romero. Because Romero's rash, right? Romero gets sent off a lot. He's clumsy, he's a bozo, he goes in, he's rash, he gets red cards. He needs a calming head. A little bit like Gabriel did with Saliba, to be fair. Not that Gabriel was ever that extreme. But Romero, good, very good passer of the football, one of the best passer of the football centre half, one of the best passing centre halves in the Premier League, in my opinion. I think he's a very, very good footballer at passing the ball. But you've got to you've got to say that he is probably going to miss 5 games a season with Spurs because he gets sent off. But Van der Ven, fair play. And do you know what? The Tottenham back five, actually, including Vicario, have been very good this season. Only played 1 game a week, though, and have been injured. So that's where I'm at. So I hope that's answered that for you, bro. And big up for watching. This one comes in as well from Sufyan. Says, do you believe that we'll win the league? Okay. This is a question that I always get asked, and people get told I'm negative with the answer. Maybe they just think if I actually keep asking it and asking it and asking it, that one day I'm going to go, yes, we're going to win the league. I don't think we're going to win the league. No, I never have. I never thought we were going to win the Champions League or the Premier League this season. I think it will be Manchester City. I look at them at the moment, what Foden's doing, what KDB and Haaland are going to do together till the end of the season. If they keep Rodri fit, they're going to win the league, in my opinion. I don't think Liverpool, personally, will have enough. And I also don't think Arsenal will have enough. I think Arsenal and Liverpool will drop some points. I think Manchester City will drop some points, but I don't think they'll drop as many. And I think they'll win the league. And it's a massive shame because, yet again, we're going to see potentially Pep Guardiola do 4 in a row. And it's going to become a bit of a league that people might look at and go, is this becoming like a Bundesliga or a French league where one team just dominates? Now, I will say and caveat that and argue in defence to that is that actually this title race is exciting. And we're in March and all 3 teams can win it still. And I know mathematically Villa and Spurs can, but let's be real. I don't think they're in a title race. Okay. But I think Liverpool and Arsenal might just drop off. And let's have it right. If Manchester City don't win the league, sorry, let me start again. If Arsenal don't win the league, I want Liverpool to win it. I don't want Man City to do 4 in a row. I think it will be well deserving of Klopp to win the league. But I have to say, I would rather see a title race that is absolutely to the wire. And then, of course, I want Arsenal to nick it if we can. And I would like to see us nick it. You know, like some people want to win it comfortably. I just think it would be amazing drama to nick it. I think it would hurt Man City even more if we were to do that. And Liverpool, of course. But I do see this one going 3-way. I do think it's a 3-horse race. I do think it will go down to the wire. I think it could potentially go down to the last 2 games of the season and have all 3 that could win it. Yeah, man. We'll have to see where we're at. Ali, big up, my bro. I hope you're well. I'm late to the show. Who's Dan sick of weekly? Marcus Rashford, man. Typical performance in a nutshell, Ali. Scores a worldie. Where is he the rest of the game? He's fluffing his lines. He's trotting around, and he don't look bothered. That's where I'm at with Rashford, I'm afraid. A player that I feel is incredibly overrated, and some people just seem to be, particularly Man United, loving him. And I don't get why. I find that bizarre. Listen, let me wrap up by saying Arsenal tomorrow night is a must-win game. Doesn't matter to me how we win it. We just need 3 points. It would be nice to be comfortable, of course. I'm not so sure that anyone's going to get this team news predicted correct. I don't know if he's going to play Jorginho and Havertz in the 9. I don't know if he's going to play Trossard and Havertz like he has been interlinking and Rice in the 6. I don't know who's going to be at left back. Is it going to be Kivior? I don't know if we're going to see Thomas Partey and Jesus in the mix. There's a lot of question marks tomorrow. I can give what I think my team news will be. And I think that team news will be the same team that played against West Ham and Burnley away, which basically is Havertz and Trossard instead of the likes of Jesus or Jorginho coming in. So that's what I would do. I don't think we need Jorginho in a game against Sheffield United. I think we'll probably need him at the Etihad if we didn't have Partey, and I'd definitely play him if we don't have Partey at the Etihad for sure. It might be that we need him against Brentford because they're a little bit more physical. But for me, I think against Sheffield United, we play Havertz and Trossard together in that link. They do the 4-4-2 situation, out of possession and in possession. And I like that. And I think it's worked very well against Burnley and West Ham. And I can't see why we can't score goals doing that in that formation against Sheffield United. So that's where I'm at, man. Mikel Arteta, I was surprised a few people with his team selection. He might do it again. I don't think we'll see anything mad like Vieira starting, Smith Rowe starting. I don't think Jesus will start. I don't think we'll see the change at left back. Kivior has been very good since Ben White's been inverting at right back. So I expect to see that continue, man. I do. I just hope that we can get into a position tomorrow evening around about 10:30, 11, where we can sit down and go, ah, on to Brentford. We've done our job. Because let me tell you now, we beat Sheffield United. We beat Brentford. We will be having a lovely roast dinner on Sunday, watching Aston Villa versus Spurs and Liverpool versus Man City, knowing that we can enjoy the game whatever happens. If we drop points to Sheffield United and Brentford, or one of them, we're going to sit there thinking, what could have been? And I don't want that feeling. And I know nobody in the chat, the Saguna, wants that. That's where I'm at, man. 288 people. I need you to smash the like button, please. I really do. And all those of you that are catching up on this show, thank you all so much for your support. Please, we got 143 likes. We can definitely get that up to 200. There's almost 300 of you watching live still now. Amazing numbers for a Sunday night. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Make sure you do me a favor. Like, subscribe, join. Check out our sponsors, Football Prizes, unbelievable prizes there that you have to put some raffle tickets in for. They're just insanely good. Make sure you go to the link in the description for Russell Hogg Photography and get yourself one of these canvases behind me. Has got them in red and white as well. Drop him a line, DM him and say, Dan Potts sent me, I'm a gooner, and he'll sort you one out. So make sure you do that, people. We're getting out of here. Up the Arsenal. We'll be back tomorrow, and we're probably going to be back to before the game. It might be after the game, but it might be before. So check out that one. Race for Europe show will be back. Then on Tuesday night, it'll be the Arsenal roundabout with us Arsenal gooners talking all things Arsenal about the game. Then Wednesday, it's This Is London, which will be myself and Don and Lawless and D and Deji talking about how poor Chelsea still are, even though Don thinks that they're brilliant still. And then the rest of the week, we'll have more content for you as well. Make sure you go over to Lee Judges TV and check out the promo, and we'll see you next time, people. Take it easy.